Welcome to Spectral Shadows. This is the place where the stories don't just haunt your mind, they follow you into the dark. Before the whispers begin, tell me, where are you watching from and what time is it? Midnight? Or closer to the hour when shadows move on their own? If you're brave enough to continue, prove it. Like this video, subscribe to Spectral Shadows and leave a comment with your time and location, so we'll know exactly where to find you. Now, let's open the door to tonight's nightmare. Story number 1. I needed a job as I could barely afford rent. I just walked out of a bar job mid-shift a few days before. My landlord mentioned he knew a place that was hiring. He was a strange guy, to say the least, but he seemed sincere. "So you can get me something that starts straight away?" I asked. "Yeah, they'll take you on pretty quick. They're always getting new people. You know how to drive a forklift, though, right, kid?" He said. I didn't, but I was desperate. I thought, how hard can it be? "Oh, yeah, I can drive one." "Is this a warehouse job then? Is it nearby?" I asked. "Yeah, it's not too far from us. I'll give them a call and let them know they got some fresh meat." He waddled off and I went back into my apartment. Well, that was easy, I said out loud. I was pretty happy. I just got a job. I decided to celebrate and ask my friends if they wanted to go out to the bars tonight. The next day, my landlord knocked on my door at 5 a.m. I had only gotten home a couple hours prior. I opened the door in my underwear. "Yeah, what's up?" I muttered, my mouth still dehydrated, dry as desert sand. "You start today, kid. Get dressed and head down there. Here's the address. I wrote it on a piece of paper," he commanded in a deadly serious tone. Before I had a chance to speak, he handed me the note and stormed off. He had scribbled the address on a torn piece of a dirty magazine. Didn't surprise me at all. I got dressed and grabbed a bus to the nearest stop to the address he gave me. It was in a shady part of town. A really, really shady part of town. I'd actually avoided going this way my entire time living here. First time for everything, I suppose. I came to the address and it was a warehouse. It looked old and abandoned. I banged on the door and, to my surprise, it opened swiftly. A tall, dark, handsome man in a designer suit stood before me. Charlie, isn't it? Your friend has told us you can fill in the forklift position. You're right on time, too. Come on in, son," the man said. "Yeah, that's me." I followed him inside and saw the warehouse. It was awfully clean. Too clean. I could practically see my reflection in the floor. I could see multiple cleaners scrubbing various areas of the small warehouse. They were wearing full hazmat-looking suits. It looked like something out of Chernobyl. He guided me to the forklift and stared at me. "Here you go. Sign any paperwork or anything." "Don't I need a high-vis or something, too?" I said with a shaky voice. I was terrible at faking anything. "Nope, we trust you. You're all good to go," he said, with a big grin. This forklift, it's kind of different to what I'm used to. Is there a manual or something?" he said in a joyful manner. Do I not need to, like," I said with a tremor in my voice. There was no way I could pull this off. "Different? This is a standard model. I wonder what you're used to then." I opened my mouth, but no words came out. I was so embarrassed, and actually kind of scared, too. Before I could spew any more BS, he grabbed a worker walking by. "Dean, show Charlie here how we use the forklifts. He's not used to this model." The man, my new boss now, walked off in a hurry. Dean, my new co-worker, spent the next 30 minutes showing me how to use the forklift. He could tell I'd never touched one in my life, but didn't he seem to care? Dean was an odd-looking guy, straightforward and nice enough, but definitely a dark horse. His face was covered in scars. They looked like cat scratches. He was missing an ear and an eye, but didn't bother wearing an eye patch. His head was shaven and he had a long red beard that hadn't he seen a wash or trim in years. I was surprised how easily I took to the job. They had a few positions: drivers who unloaded the trucks, drivers who put away the containers, drivers who then took containers to the trucks that were leaving, and drivers who loaded the trucks that were leaving. To start me off, they put me on taking the containers from the unloaded trucks and putting the containers away. The containers were about 6 feet tall and 6 feet wide, like a really small elevator. They were a thick iron, not like regular wooden crates. They had an opening door on them which looked heavily padlocked. As I was moving the containers in the forklift, well, just about doing so without crashing, I could hear rumbling and thudding inside the containers. Whatever was in there was moving. I saw the man from earlier walking around and waved at him to get his attention. He walked over and said, "How's it going, son?" "It's good, thanks." "What the heck is in these containers? I'm worried I'm gonna drop them if whatever S in there keeps rocking about. I hope I'm not breaking anything," I said to him. "Part of your paperless verbal contract is to respect our clients' confidentiality. We don't open the containers. Each and every container has a unique barcode. We simply receive shipment, store the containers for a short amount of time, and ship them back out," he said, in a stern yet friendly tone. "Oh, okay. All right then. About my contract. How much does this job pay? And what are my hours?" I asked nervously. "Your hours are 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. You will also be paid £333 a day at the end of each shift in cash," he said with that same grin. "Oh, okay, thanks. I'll get back to work now," I said to him. £333 a day? That's so much money. I'm going to be rich doing this job. What a weird amount, though. And cash? Who pays in cash? 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. is going to be brutal, though, I thought to myself. I had stopped paying attention to the container on my forklift, and as I tried to move it up higher to fit on the stack, my finger slipped and I pressed the wrong button by mistake. The prongs of the forklift shuddered and the container came crashing down. As part of the container burst open, I heard a quick, excruciating scream, and then nothing. The scream came from inside the container. The entire team stopped what they were doing and rushed over. The cleaners immediately began spraying and cleaning up the container like flies swarming a corpse. As I looked around, panicking like crazy, I looked back to the container. There was blood pooling by the now busted container door. A security guard grabbed me by my throat and pulled me out of the forklift. He shoved me to the ground and put a knee on my head, holding me down in place. The tall man in the designer suit rushed over to me and told the security guard everything was all right for now. "It's okay, son. Accidents happen. It's only your first day. How about we take a lunch break while the team sorts out this little accident?" "What the hell is in there?" I screamed. The rest of the warehouse looked at me like I'd just pulled out a grenade. "Now what did I say about that, Charlie?" he said to me in a calm yet concerned tone. "I thought it was just weapons or something in there. That was blood. Why is there blood in there? Are those animals in there?" I cried. He didn't answer my questions. The security guard picked me up to my feet and escorted me to a break room. The room was small. It had a few chairs around a table in the middle of the room. There were some children's toys in the corner of the room. They looked out of place. I guess the boss brings his kid to work sometimes. We had a long talk. Well, I didn't really say anything. He told me how lucky I am to have this opportunity and that they ought to be doing a good thing here. He preached about company values and client satisfaction. He said to me that he actually appreciated how interested I am in the work, and that there may be another position within the organization I can fulfill. He said that actually, Since my little accident, a slot's just been opened for a brand new, exciting opportunity. I'm in the break room now. He's gone, but says he'll be back soon and show me what the inside of the container is like, to put my mind at ease. I guess this new job isn't so bad after all. My landlord, Mr. Graves, is a great guy for getting me this job. I'll let you know how I get on. Story number 2. I never thought I would have a story like this, but it is still so vivid that I cannot shake it. This happened about a year ago when I was living alone in a small apartment. I usually keep my doors locked and my phone within reach, so I felt safe until that night. It was around 2 in the morning, and I had just fallen asleep after a long shift. My bedroom is small, with the bed pushed against the wall and the closet on the opposite side. I usually sleep light, but I thought I was completely out. Then I heard it, slow and deliberate breathing coming from the closet. At first I convinced myself it was a half-awake dream, maybe snoring or imagining things. But the sound continued, soft, steady, and deliberate. I froze. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it would burst. Every instinct screamed that something was wrong, but I was too terrified to move. The breathing got louder, almost as if whoever or whatever was in there knew I could hear them now. I tried to convince myself it was a rodent or maybe the wind, but the breathing was not random or quick. It was measured and patient, like someone was watching me. My mind raced as I reached for my phone on the nightstand. My hands were shaking so badly I dropped it on the floor. I tried to calm myself and slowly inched my eyes toward the closet. The door was slightly open. Not much, maybe just an inch, but enough to let a shadow stretch into the room. I could feel my blood running cold. I wanted to run, but I could not. I remembered the baseball bat under my bed. My body moved almost automatically, reaching for it, while keeping my eyes locked on the closet. I gripped the bat and whispered, "Hello?" My voice barely made a sound. The breathing stopped for a second, then started again, louder this time, like a warning. I realized whoever it was must have known I noticed them. Panic hit me fully, and I screamed at the top of my lungs, flinging the closet door open. It was empty. My clothes were hanging normally, and nothing was out of place. I checked behind the curtains, under the bed, and even in the bathroom. Nothing. No footprints and no signs of anyone ever being there. My heart was still racing and my hands were shaking so badly I could not hold the bat properly. I stayed up the rest of the night with every light in the apartment on. I even called a friend to stay on the phone with me until sunrise. I never found out who or what was there. I changed the locks the next day, installed a new security chain, and started keeping a knife on my nightstand every night since I checked the closet before turning off the lights. And I never sleep with my bedroom door open. The scariest part is not just that something was in my closet. I know I was not dreaming. I could still feel the presence for a few seconds after I turned on the lights, like a shadow lingering in the corner. I cannot explain it, and I do not want to try. The thought that it could happen again haunts me every night. Sometimes when I hear a small noise in the apartment, I swear I hear that same slow, deliberate breathing. Story number 3. I knew the place had a past. I didn't know the story wasn't over. The house looked way worse in person, but I knew what I was getting into when I bought the place. At least that's what I keep telling myself. The listing had said, "Victorian charm with a storied past." But anyone within 50 miles knows what really happened there. I wasn't trying to hide it. In fact, as a budding horror writer, I was counting on it. Paranormal tourism is big business, and the whole haunted bed and breakfast gimmick could only help my career. I got out of my car and looked at the house. One of 6 aging Victorians. It stood beneath towering live oaks, with Spanish moss swaying like ghosts in the humid breeze. Locals called them the Sad Sisters, remnants of a small town that never quite took off. Too far inland, too overshadowed by Florida's coastal allure. And then came the 1985 mass murder, the final nail in its coffin. Perfect, I thought. My plan was simple. Move in with my cat, Ellie, make the necessary repairs to pass inspection, and start taking reservations for the Good Morning Inn by Halloween. I even had a horror author YouTube channel set up to document the journey. This place was going to make me a name. I flipped on my phone's camera and gave myself a once-over. Eyes big and bright, wide smile, energy up. Showtime. I hit go live. Welcome to my newest, creepiest, most ill-advised decision yet, I said, turning the camera toward the house. Say hello to the future site of the Good Morning Inn, and possibly my untimely demise. I drew out morning with a playfully dark edge, lowering my voice for dramatic effect. My fans love this kind of stuff. The day was sunny and bright, so when I opened the front door, I felt like I was staring into a dark void. All the windows had been boarded up since, 1985. I carried Ellie's pet carrier into the foyer. She pinned her ears back and growled. "Oh, hush. You're gonna love it here," I said, doubting every word. I put her carrier on the floor and unzipped the flap. She sat back in the corner, refusing to come out. I couldn't blame her. The air felt still and heavy, like the house had been holding its breath for decades. My phone buzzed. An apology from the movers. "Your delivery's been delayed until Monday." Great. I had a cat, a duffel bag, a half-charged phone, and an empty murder house. I wandered into the kitchen and flipped the light switch. Nothing. I groaned. Apparently, the electricity hadn't been turned on yet. Just then, the front door clicked shut behind me, leaving me standing in near total darkness. I heard Ellie growl in the foyer. "At least you've got night vision," I muttered. That reminded me about Ellie's pet Cam. It had night vision, too. As strange as it sounds, she has her own TikTok channel, and somehow way more followers than I do. No idea why people love watching a cat wander around with a camera strapped to her neck. But the likes and shares help pay for her food and vet bills. So who was I to judge? "Come here, Miss Ellie," I said, gently coaxing her out of the carrier. She wasn't thrilled, but she let me clip the camera to her collar. The moment it was secure, she sniffed the air like something offended her, then slinked off down the hall. I propped the front door open to let in some light and took a look around. Dark wood paneling lined the foyer walls. An old chandelier, draped in cobwebs, hung motionless above me. To my right, a grand staircase twisted up into sinister-looking shadows. Still, I could see the potential. Cleaned up, restored, it would be gorgeous. Moody, atmospheric, just enough haunted charm to thrill the guests without driving them away. Exactly what I'd imagined. Exactly what I needed. I couldn't wait to show my fans the place. I smoothed my hair, took a deep breath, and started recording. And here we are, guys. Murder House, Day 1. I pulled an exaggerated, wide-eyed yikes expression, then swept the camera around the foyer, down the hallway, and up the shadowed staircase. In the phone's light, it looked like something straight out of a horror film. I walked upstairs. Each step creaked under my feet. "Yep, this is the house," I said. "This is where I'll be living from now on." In the master bedroom, I panned the camera across the faded, butte green wallpaper, peeling in strips. Ghostly outlines of long-gone furniture were imprinted on the walls. It was perfect for my purposes. "Nope, not sleeping in here," I said flatly. The bathroom wasn't much better. The toilet and sink were both rust-stained, and the mirror above them was coated in grime. A dull film warped my reflection into something blurry and wrong. I zoomed in on my face, widened my eyes, and let out a theatrical shriek. Inside, I smiled. They were going to love this. There was another bedroom down the hall, somewhat cleaner, with bright yellow walls. "I guess this is the room I'll sleep in," I said. At the end of the nearly pitch-black hall was another door, shut tight. I didn't need a floor plan to know what it was. "This is it," I whispered. "This is where it happened." I turned the camera on myself and tried to look terrified. Honestly, it wasn't hard. "Should I go in?" I said. "I'm sort of freaking out right now." I flipped the camera back around and showed my hand on the doorknob. Slowly, I twisted it. The door creaked open, inch by inch. "Here we go. If you never hear from me again, please call the cops." I stepped in and was hit by a wave of foul air. Not just stale, like the rest of the house. Something worse. Sour and deeply unpleasant. I held out my phone to light the room. Instantly, goosebumps rippled across my skin. My breath caught. For a moment, it felt like my heart stopped. The room was empty, but the walls, once covered in whimsical children's wallpaper, were stained and splattered with old, dried blood. My jaw dropped. A cold flush of reality hit me, suffocating. This wasn't a setting for a horror novel, not an aesthetic for thrill seekers or ghost hunters. This was where it had happened. Not a story, not fiction. Real lives, real death. "What the fuck?" I blurted. "They didn't even clean it up?" The truth hit me hard. This wasn't some haunted B&B fantasy. It was still a crime scene, and now I was living in it. I turned the camera off. I needed out. Now. I bolted down the stairs and into the sunlight. What the hell had I gotten myself into? I stood outside for a long minute, staring back at the house. "Get a grip, Joan," I told myself. "Isn't this exactly what you wanted?" A smile tugged at my lips. Yes. But that didn't mean I wanted to spend the night inside. I'd made up my mind. Grab Ellie, drive back to Jack's, and hole up in a hotel until I was ready to tackle this adventure. First, I just had to get her. The sunshine gave me a little courage. I marched back inside, wedged the front door open, and started searching. I called her name. Nothing. I checked every room, upstairs and down. No cat. Where the hell could she be? My gaze drifted to the one place I hadn't checked. The basement door, still closed. No way she could have gotten in there. Right. I had to check. No way was I leaving without her. I stopped in front of the basement door, phone flashlight in hand. With a deep breath, I eased it open. A steep, narrow staircase disappeared into darkness below. Carefully, I started down the steps. "Ellie," I called. My voice sounded small. The air was cool and thick with the scent of age and dampness. A musty chill settled over my skin. To my surprise, the basement was much larger than I'd expected. The shadows stretched far beyond the reach of my phone's glow. I moved slowly, sweeping the light across the space. The farther I went, the more something felt wrong. The space seemed too large, like it extended beyond the house's footprint. Weird. But hey, incredible bonus for the B&B, right? "Ellie, are you down here?" I called. "Ellie, come here, kitty. Meow, meow." Silence. At the far end, I stopped in front of a solid concrete wall with a door embedded in it. A door? Down here? Curiosity pushed aside caution. I reached for the handle. Locked. I gave it a shake, but it wouldn't budge. The longer I stared, the more unsettling it felt. Why was it here? What lay beyond? And why did it feel like it wasn't meant to be opened? Just then, my phone buzzed. Notifications poured in. Tons of new comments on my channel. I couldn't resist. I tapped to check. OMG, I love this place already. It's so creepy. Dude, do not go down that basement. Joan Palels tell me you're not sleeping there tonight. There's some bad juju in that house. Where's Ellie? I want to see the kitty cam. Yes, the pet cam. Why didn't I think of that earlier? I tried to open Ellie's cam, but the screen just spun. No video. Only the audio came through. A burst of static, then kibble, crunching. Ellie, eating somewhere. But the sound cut off abruptly, replaced by a low, tense rumble in her throat. A growl. A long second passed. Then, kriek. The unmistakable groan of a floorboard. My pulse spiked. The audio feed crackled as if something jolted the mic. Ellie's growl turned frantic, building into a hiss. Then scampering paws, thumping hard and fast against wood. She was running, not toward me, but away, deeper into the house. The audio dipped, muffled, like she'd plunged somewhere enclosed. Faint thumps echoed behind her, heavy and deliberate. Footsteps. I froze, staring at the locked door in front of me. The feed grew echoey, damp-sounding. Basement? How? A skittering stop, then frantic scratching. Meows turned to yowls, high and desperate. Claws on something unyielding, and those footsteps. Closer now, slow, heavy, leather creaking. The audio erupted into chaos. Ellie's furious screeches pierced the speaker. Claws raking, teeth snapping. A low, guttural yell cut through, male and ragged. Grunts of effort. The mic shook with thuds and scuffles, like a fight in the dark. Then a sharp hiss of static. A burst. Then nothing. My heart slammed against my ribs. Ellie, my Ellie trapped in there, with whoever that was. I leaned in, ear pressed to the door. Silence from this side, but the app, dead air. My instincts screamed at me to run, to get the hell out. But I couldn't leave her. I gripped the doorknob. This time it turned easily, unlocked. My pulse roared in my ears. I was shaking, terrified. I pushed the door open. Total darkness. A black hole. I reached in with my phone, trying to catch some of it in the light. My breath caught. A tunnel. Dirt floor, dirt walls, rough uneven like something dug it by hand. Ellie, I whispered. Mommy's here. Come on, girl. We need to go. Meow. Meow. Nothing. Only silence. I stepped inside. The air hit me. Musty, foul, and something worse. A thick, sour stench. Sweat. Decay. Ellie? My voice cracked. Then, something pressed down on the back of my neck. Cold. Heavy. A hand. I froze. Couldn't move. Could barely breathe. That awful reek filled my nose and mouth. I gagged. My stomach heaved. A voice rasped in my ear. Low, rough, full of hate. My tragedy is not your entertainment. I didn't think. I didn't breathe. I bolted. Raced up those stairs, 2 at a time. Phone clenched in a death grip. Through the front door. Into the daylight. If you could call it that. The sun was already sinking behind the trees. The yard awash in long shadows. I ran straight to my car and slammed the door shut, locking it behind me. For a long time, I just sat there, shaking, my heart hammering so loud I could barely think. I kept glancing at the house, at that open door, at the windows, dark as eyes. I don't know what I heard down there. I don't know what just happened. All I know is that Ellie's still inside, and I'm not going back in there alone. Not tonight. The sun's going down fast. I'll stay in the car for a bit. Try to think. Figure out what to do. If anyone's watching this, if you know anything about this house or that door, or whoever the hell that was, please tell me. I'm scared out of my mind right now. You've reached the end, but the shadows haven't left you. If this story unsettled you, prove you survived. Like this video, subscribe to Spectral Shadows, and leave a comment with the part that haunted you most. The darkness is always waiting, and so are we. Until next time, don't turn off the lights.